Hello, guys. This is Craig speaking, and today I'm here to tell you guys a bit of a story about my life as a struggle and the way that's something that people have been dealing with in their lives too. And considering that April is the month of Autism Awareness Month and also Autism Appreciation Month, I figured that why not I just talk about it and you know, maybe that you people can actually relate to it, and the way you can understand is definitely what spreads the word on my own case, and maybe you and your friends as well.
To begin with, this will also be an audible video log that allow me to explain it in an easier way. So just be aware that I may be repeating myself on certain points, so please understand this because this is something I really needed to get off my chest. Now, for those that don't know, I have Asperger's syndrome, and I've dealt with it all my life, ever since I was born. I dealt with social and comprehension issues, and to this day, I continue to speculate myself just by facing challenges that allow me to overcome obstacles just by having people that were to assist me and they were to allow me to grow and just by learning how to overcome these certain issues like problem solving and basically just by do it all in hands-on sort of way. Back in the day, I was like every normal baby who was happy and bubbly at the time when I was really young. Up until I slowly encountered major changes that occurred to me without realizing. Like for instance, instead of me using simple words just to communicate like mom or dad or mama or dada or something like that, instead I was just I began to moan and grunt incoherently, just a way of not using simple names just by telling just by telling your mom and dad what you wanted or what you need. Instead you just moan and grunt in front of them, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, this was my one of my earliest signs that changed my life dramatically. And by then I was taken to several hospitals where I were to be tested. And many of the tests were to regard blood, MRI, and chromosomes were given a result of my diagnosis. And and to that point, my mom was very upset by the result that I have autism. And I was actually diagnosed with autism back in 1996. So this was actually a very heartbreaking time for my family since they've not really have been familiar with autism. As a result, it was a dramatic it was a very heartbreaking change for my mom and my sister and my grandparents, since I've been living with them at the very beginning before I moved to another state. Sometime after my diagnosis, I was taking some vaccines after encountering major differences between my normal development and my disorder. And it completely changed my family's life so deeply, um, including myself before I even knew about my diagnosis until I was in my teens. And I'm pretty sure I would have known that if I were to have one of my family members who have been diagnosed with autism, but apparently I'm one of those, I'm the only person in the entire family who has autism. Now, back in the 90s, autism was not a very common disability back then, and the internet didn't really have any available research or any library books about it at the time. So all I was given with is guidance from my pediatricians and my therapists and my teachers. They were able to help me progress normally and overcome earliest challenges when it comes to being autistic. And since then, my level of development went from the PDD level, which is all part of low functioning autism, to Asperger's type of higher level. So since then, I was able to progress like as much as I can just by able to learn socially, and I was able to develop with a group of friends, with my teachers, and even so, I was able to try lots of new things in a lot of ways just to have fun. And even so, I was able to graduate both in high school and college, and I was able to work at my own job too. And even better, I even have a girlfriend who is very supportive of me along the way. And guess what? She even has autism too. And since then, she and I are able to relate to each other like we're all couples that have a very different sort of development, but we can all relate to each other just by having the same level. So we're both kind of like a yin and yang sort of a couple. So today, autism has grown like rapidly as it became a much known disorder, and organizations have began to grow the entire awareness on autism and Asperger's syndrome. And really, with a lot of more research being published, like everywhere, like not just like on the internet, but at on books. You were to hear them on the news. You were to hear them like from television shows like Sesame Street, and recent shows like The Good Doctor. And there was even a contestant on Jeopardy who was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. And so many people that support others with autism and Asperger's syndrome, for the most part, they are able to accept and appreciate them for who they are. And they can allow them just to make a difference just by handling creative and unique ways in many situations. And even kids today can learn about autism and how to appreciate those like equally. But going back to what I was discussing about myself, like as a kid, I had an awkward personality, and I had experiences with my own sense of sight, taste, smell, hearing, and touch. And I was a shy kid that sits in the corner from others, and I would also talk to myself and basically have gained my own memorization on reciting lines of dialogue from movies and TV shows. And I also have had an artistic side of me that I already use just to cope my own autism and my own case of having problems relating to it. Like to begin with, I used the way my own skills to cope on many things just by doing some drawings. I mean, back in the day, I drew a lot of pictures of the Titanic in full detail, which was one of my biggest obsessions I've had when it comes to like having an interest on the Titanic when the James Cameron film actually came out like around my time. And at school, I have been showing my drawings to my friends, and they were really been giving me some of the biggest impressions that I thought I did a much better job like any other professional would, even though I was really young at the time. And as I've gotten older, I began shining towards others just by blending in socially. And I'm also able to give a lot of people advices just by, seeing how they can go through the day and see how much they'll feel better about dealing with their own personal problems. And so I could be able to relate to them too. And even though that my speech and comprehension skills are sometimes sluggish, um, I'm still able to improve that just by being around people, in which that, in which being around people does help me engage my speaking and communication skills. Even though I have been an introvert like in all my life, I I feel better about just like talking normally in front of people and including my friends. That's pretty much why I was able to blend in with them, since I don't really have to like be acting like a freak or being an awkward sort of individual. I am at least able to handle life as a way that I were to be surrounded by people that were to do a lot of normal things, like they were to work, they were to travel, they entertain, they were to assist others, and so on. And as I got out of college, I were to say to myself like, hey, if normal people can do all these things, I could probably do the same thing. And the truth is that anybody that has autism and Asperger's syndrome, um, they can live a very successful life, even if there's like a lot of challenges in this world that they have trouble encountering. That's why there's everybody that are able to guide autistic people just by overcoming their spectrums, just by becoming successful. Whatever they go to college and graduate with a degree, um, they were to work a job or two, they were to get married and have family, or they even serve in the military. Even the people with autism, they can live independently like every normal people. And if you're one of these people, um, I just wanted to say that it is your right to live a normal life, despite having this disorder. And I myself am living in a life with autism as well, but I'm at least able to outgrow myself just by overcoming obstacles like every day, even though life isn't very easy. And really, though, I've been focusing on trying to get myself together just by working on goals, which is why I'm able to like learn a lot of things about our world today. And to me, though, I believe that life is not always a race against time. It's all about building a better you. And I could relate to it because I'm not like my sister who is able to make a lot of money and travel the places all the time. And I've yet to I've yet to be able to afford a car, even though I'm actually working on trying to get myself a license. And I'm just actually doing what I can just to be like everyone else, but I'm not really here to compare myself to others. I'm just trying to look and see if I can try to work on improving myself when it comes to living with Asperger's syndrome. So, if you know anybody that has autism or Asperger's syndrome, or if you have it yourself, just remember that you're not alone. I know it's hard to get out of the autism shell since it's more of a neurological and developmental disorder, but all you can do is for now is just to keep pushing yourself and follow your dreams. People like Temple Grandin, Bill Gates, Albert Einstein, Vincent van Gogh, and even actors like Dan Aykroyd have worked their lives just by turning their autism spectrums into a major difference, just by becoming very successful people. No matter what level of your developmental disorder is, don't let anybody underestimate your capabilities, because you can do what you're fully capable of doing with yourself and to inspire others. In fact, I even have friends that I went to school with, and I've seen them walk on stage and they even get their diplomas for graduating school. And so they have really gone a long way ever since the beginning. And even when people with autism and Asperger's have overcome their own issues, and I'm pretty much sure that you can do the same thing just by making a difference and just by inspiring others on trying new things, what you wanted to do that you can do to make a difference as well. So, if you're like one of these people, just remember that you can do whatever it takes that you can make the world a better place if you try to make yourself be a successful person just by living financially and live independently. So yeah, that's all I can talk about, and hopefully this vlog can actually help spread awareness for autism Asperger's syndrome, because really though I've been going through a lot ever since I was diagnosed with my own disorder at the very beginning, and I'm just like everyone else who could do all these things just by making the world a much better place just by being successful. So all I can say is thank you for listening, and keep on sailing. Take care, guys.